Good morning. This is Terry from the Frugal Connection, and today it's going to be another hot day. We've had a stretch of 3 or 4 days now of high 80s, low 90s, humid. I don't have air conditioning in the main part of my house, so I've been trying to come up with some meals that don't require the oven or that I can make ahead. And so this morning what I thought I would do is I'm going to make 2 salads. The first salad I'm going to make is a pasta basil tomato salad, and the second one is a pesto potato salad. And both of these are plant-based whole foods, and they're made with just a few simple ingredients that you can find at your local grocery store, a farmer's market, food stands, Walmart, Aldi, wherever you shop, you can find these ingredients. So let's just get started. So this salad starts out with fresh tomatoes, some cucumbers, peppers. I'm using a colored blend of red, yellow, and orange peppers, chickpeas. We have basil. I also have red mineral salt. I'm just going to use a pinch of that. Some oregano, some garlic, black pepper. I also have chive vinegar that I made. It's right over there in that pink bottle over to the side, right there. And we're going to come up with a salad that should be tasty and delicious. Okay. So I have rotini pasta that I cooked earlier and I've had chilling in the refrigerator. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start by just adding our ingredients directly into the bowl with the pasta. And I'm going to start with, I have these mini cucumbers. I like those better. I just like the taste of them better. They just seem to, the bigger the cucumbers are, I don't know, I find that they have less flavor. So I'm using these little guys. And I'm just going to cut them in half and then cut them in half again and do a quick chop on these. You know what? I meant to get a bowl earlier to just dump the ends and everything in. Now you can cut these vegetables as small or as large as you want. I tend to do them on the smallish side just because. But it's not a exact science. I know some people when they dice, you could take a ruler to their vegetables and they would be uniformly chopped, but mine never are. Okay. All right, now I have these little peppers. I bought a bag of mini peppers that were red, orange, and yellow. I'm going to cut the tops off of these and then cut them in half. And get the seeds out. And I gave everything a quick wash earlier, so I don't need to do that now. Okay. And now I'm just going to dice these. And the thing I like about these salads is they're very versatile, so you can use whatever vegetables you want. There's no exact science to salad making, and that's kind of what I like about it, is you can use all different ingredients. You can leave things out if you don't like them. These are just the veggies I like to put in mine. And I think they kind of go well together with this basil, tomatoey type of salad that feels more like an Italian salad or Mediterranean salad. Okay. Now, and if you're not going plant-based all the way, like if you're still eating dairy, meat, things like that, you could add chicken to this. You could add like feta cheese would be great in this particular dish, or perhaps fresh mozzarella. Whatever you want, you can just do what works for you. Cheese was probably the hardest thing for me to give up because that was my weakness, and I love cheese and I love all kinds of cheese, but it does not love me. And so, all right, let me do the tomatoes first. I want to take this one because this guy was starting to split a little bit. So let me just get the ends off. You could also use cherry tomatoes in this. I just happen to have these tomatoes that I want to use. So I'm going to give them a smallish chop and throw those in. All right, I think I'm going to get this one's not that red. And sometimes when you buy tomatoes at the store, you know, they pick them off the vine before they're totally ripe. And when that happens, sometimes I just leave them on my countertop for a few days and they just ripen up there. But really, there's really nothing better than a summer tomato fresh off the vine or from the local farmer's market where they've just freshly picked them. I find that the tomatoes in the wintertime, at least where I live here, because they have to ship them in from a different state and they're picking them before they're totally ripe, they don't taste the same. So I tend to just buy things that are in season, and in the wintertime, we just don't eat a lot of tomatoes. Or I'll just buy like cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes. All right, I think I'm gonna do one more. So I'm putting 3 tomatoes in here. These are smallish tomatoes. If you were going to use cherry tomatoes, you could probably use 1 cup to 2 cups of halved cherry tomatoes. And I do like eating salads like this in the summer, and because it's plant-based, I add beans or different things to give it added bulk and protein, and it's great because then I don't have to cook. Because even heating up the water on the stove right now for both the pasta and when I have the potatoes cooking at the moment, it's heating up my kitchen pretty fast. All right, let me check on the potatoes. Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna give this a big stir and get all these vegetables mixed into here. And this is a large salad. I know my husband and my one son who lives with us will love it. They do like certain types of salads. And I find it funny because my oldest son lives with us. He's an adult and he is on the autism spectrum. So there's certain things I just cannot get him to eat. He's got like textural issues that he doesn't like certain foods. But salads are the one thing, like these kind of pasta salads and potato salads, macaroni salad, those he'll eat. Okay, now what I'm going to do is this is about 1 cup of basil, and I think I'm going to use the whole thing, and I am going to give it a chop. Now, I don't use oil in my cooking because that is one of the foods, or I don't even want to call it a food. It's not a food. One of the things that I gave up when I started eating this way. And so it's been kind of fun to try to figure out how to make some of my favorite things that we used to always make that were loaded with olive oil, loaded with all kinds of fats, and make them in a way that are healthy, but still tasty. Because I'm not always a fan of just plain vinegar. It can be too much. So I've just been experimenting and trying different things. So this is new to me, this salad. So I haven't made it like this before, so we shall see how it works. And I think what I'm going to do is whatever dressing I come up with for this, I'm going to put it in a separate bowl. Make sure it's what I really like before I dump it all over the salad. Otherwise, it's going to be no good. Okay, I think that's good enough. One thing I don't like about basil, when it's wet, it gets all on, and you're trying to chop it. It does not come off your hands well. Okay. All right, so I have the basil in there. And now I have about 1.5 cups of chickpeas, which I'm also going to dump in. And get this out of the way. I'm going to give this a mix. I might have needed to get a bigger bowl. I never estimate the size of the bowl I need, right? All right, so I got this all together. And now what I'm going to do is in a little bowl, let me use this. All right, now I made chive vinegar. I took my chive blossoms a few weeks ago, or probably about 3 weeks ago. My chives that I have in my little herb bed all had flowered, and they had flowers on the top. So I snipped off the blossoms. I steeped it in white vinegar for about a week, and then I strained it, and now I have chive flavored vinegar, which tastes really good, and it turns this lovely pink color. I love the color of it. So I like to use this in my salad dressings because it does give things a nice oniony flavor without having to. I don't know if you can hear my neighbor's grandchildren are in their yard, and they're in the pool, so I hear them screaming. Okay, so I think I have about 1/2 cup of vinegar in here, and to this I'm gonna do some black pepper. And this vinegar the pasta will soak up the vinegar a little bit, so it won't be so wet. You know, like when you dump this all in, it's going to look like it's too much liquid, but it'll soak up and it'll be fine. So, all right, to this I'm also going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. And I'm going to also add 1/2 teaspoon of oregano. All right, I'm going to give this a quick stir. Give it a good. All right, let's see what this tastes like. That's very good. Oh my, that tastes really good. I'm wondering. No, I'm not going to do it. I was thinking about adding a little mustard to it, just to kind of bring it together a little bit more, but I don't think so because I think it's going to be too have too much of a bite. Wow, that combination of the chive vinegar and then the garlic and oregano, that is really good. All right, I want to give this a really good mix here. Then I'm going to clean up my mess before I move on to the next one. I don't know about you, but I'm a very messy cook, and every time I'm in this kitchen, it feels like a bomb went off. But they say that's a sign of an artist, so it's my creative nature in the kitchen. Okay, put this there. I'm going to come around and zoom in on this so you can see what it looks like. There you go. It is a tomato pasta basil salad. Okay, friends, we're back. Now we're going to move on to the pesto. Now, as I thought about this one, I was trying to figure out what can I do to give it that consistency that the pesto we're used to has. Because regular pesto has basil in it, it has pine nuts, it has olive oil, a lot of olive oil, and it has Romano or Parmesan cheese. And I like all that. I love pesto, but I don't want all the fat because I'm not eating oil, I'm not eating dairy. So I wanted to come up with an alternative. So this is what I stumbled upon. As I was reflecting about it and thinking and based on what I know now about plant-based cooking, what are some things that can mimic some of those? So I have my pesto like I normally would, and normally I would use pine nuts, but I don't have any. So then I remembered I have raw cashews, and I think that will give it that nuttiness that we're looking for. And then as far as the cheesiness goes, I have nutritional yeast, which does have a cheesy-like flavor. To be honest, I don't think it tastes like cheese at all, even though a lot of people say it does. And I also know my husband and son will not eat it. That's the one thing they don't like. So what I did, though, was I got thinking about tofu, and I am going to add in half of a block of extra firm tofu because I think it'll give it the consistency I'm looking for. And then I also have garlic cloves, and I'm going to use... I think I'm going to use 3 of them. It usually just calls for 2 garlic cloves, but these are teeny tiny. And I also am going to add lemon juice because I think the lemon might kind of trick our taste buds into having more of that cheesy umami type flavor. Okay, so I have 2 cups of basil, which I'm going to throw in here. And it's not quite 2. It's supposed to be packed basil. So that's going in my food processor. And now I'm going to also add in my garlic. And I've already pre-cooked my potatoes. I didn't do very many this time. I did about 4 potatoes. You can double that, obviously. You can if you're going to make a whole big giant bowl of it. What I have here is just a few little, just a small bowl of them. And I left the skins on because the skins are it's good for you. I just give them a good wash and then I use them. Okay, I'm going to also throw in my cashews. And I think what I'm going to do first is just give this a pulse to get those the cashews broken down and the garlic broken down before I add in the tofu. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut this into smaller chunks. I'm going to add this right in there. I think I'm going to start with 1/4 of a block of tofu, and I'm going to add about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a couple of turns around this pepper grinder. And I'm not going to add the lemon yet until see what this looks like. That smells good. The funny thing is, it actually does taste a little bit, it smells like... Okay, that is amazing. That actually has like a cheesy taste to it. I have not added anything other than the garlic, the basil, the raw cashews, the tofu. I am going to add a little bit more of this tofu though, because I think it needs to get a little wetter. And maybe I'll take this part of this lemon. I have 1/2 of a lemon. These things are monstrosities. They're really too big, but it worked. All right, and I'm just going to squeeze it and make sure I catch the seeds. Holy cow, that really tasted good. I'm going to scrape down the sides. Okay, it's a little thicker than normal pesto, so I am going to add that other lemon. I'm going to squeeze some more lemon juice in. And start with half and see what happens. And friends, I hope you know that in the kitchen, just experiment. You can try all different things. There's no right or wrong. Don't be afraid to try new things. And the longer you go at this, the more you'll start knowing what flavors go together, what herbs work well with what vegetables. You'll come up with your own ideas for how to do substitutions. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You just scratch it and know that, okay, next time that one's not going to work and we'll try again. I remember I made mock Alfredo for pasta, and I served it to my husband and my son. And my son goes, Mom, don't call it Alfredo. It's not Alfredo. And so that was a dud. He did not like that. And I didn't like it either, to be honest with you. So I don't make that one anymore. But again, you won't know until you try, right? Okay, let me mix this again. I think that needs to be thinned out just a little bit more for the taste. And really good. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. That is really, really good. And like I said, these things are experiments. And until we try, we won't know. All right, so I'm going to... And this is the only thing, when you're using tofu and I'm going to add it to the potatoes. It will firm up a little bit in the refrigerator the longer it sits in there. So you may find that you'll need to add a bit more lemon juice, or maybe a little bit of, you could do a little bit of vinegar if you wanted to. That will just give it it'll loosen it back up again. But that's why usually when I'm making anything with tofu, like with a dressing for something like this, I do it in smaller batches, because after a day or two, I don't like the consistency. So then, I'm better off, because I love it when I first make it. But after that, I don't like it anymore. All right, we are done. So what I'm going to do now is, let me get this off here. And see, it's a nice, kind of the consistency of pesto. I probably did not need that whole entire half a block of tofu that I used. I could have used silken tofu, which would have been a little looser. But I think the texture of this is more like real pesto with cheese and olive oil and all that stuff. So let me move this out of the way. Okay, I'm going to add the pesto right to the bowl. I almost think you could actually use pasta for this as well. I'm not adding anything else. I'm not adding any other vegetables. I had the onion out thinking I might want to add the onion, but this is very garlicky. If you don't like garlic, to me, garlic is kind of a necessity in the pesto, but you don't have to put it in. You could substitute an onion. Again, you do what works for your taste buds, your palate, whatever you like. I almost think I should have put some more potatoes in here, and I might actually do that. I might boil a few more potatoes and add it because it's awfully thick with pesto compared to the amount of potatoes I have in here. Now I'm going to give it a test with the potato. I think it needs one more pepper. And just maybe a half a teaspoon more of salt. If you're not doing salt, just leave it out. I did not have a problem with salt as far as that's not what, when I was dealing with high blood pressure, that wasn't really a contributing factor. Mostly it had to do with being overweight. But I have cut back, way back on my salt. I used to not take a measuring spoon and measure it out. I used to just stick it in there until I felt like I was done. All right. That's good. Very good. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see. You can see what I mean. I probably need a few more potatoes. It doesn't need to be quite so coated, but I think it's good. All right, friends, thank you for coming along on my cooking adventure today in the kitchen. I love experimenting, and the reason I do this is just to kind of give you some creative ideas of what you can do on a plant-based whole food diet, because a lot of times people think, oh, you're just eating salads all the time. Like tossed salad, and I don't. I eat a huge variety of food. I like to try to turn them into new dishes so that it's fun in the kitchen, because to me food should be fun, because otherwise you're eating the same thing day in and day out. And I've always been like that even before I switched over to eating this way. And I want to show you that you can make it with the simple ingredients that you have. The basil that I use today, I grew this summer in my herb garden. It's actually doing very, very well. And a lot of that is because I learned that you have to be on top of going out and plucking off the center, the parts of it that are fully developed, and leave the tiny little leaves on it that have not grown yet, because that'll keep it going. Otherwise, it's putting all its energy into those big leaves, and the little ones aren't growing. So that's from my garden. The chickpeas I had. You know, again, it wasn't potatoes. These are things that you buy every day in the store. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I will put both these recipes on my website, thefrugalconnection.com. I will put the link down below in the description box. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it, because that helps the word to get out. That helps me go up in the analytics of YouTube. And you can find my new book, Simple and Nutritious, 52 Plant-Based Whole Foods Recipes, on Amazon. Or you can go to my website, which will link you to Amazon. But I'll put the links for all that down below, as well as the links to some of the things I used today, such as the Redmond's Real Salt, the tofu that I use, things like that. So I hope you have a great day. I hope you're staying cool. This heat wave hopefully will break soon. I think by the weekend we're supposed to drop down a little bit, so it won't be quite so hot and humid. So have a great day, and I will talk to you in the next video.